Millions of years ago, the Okavango Delta was part of a huge lake with waters and swamps that covered much of what is now the Kalahari Desert. The movement of the earth dammed the vast rivers that flowed here, causing them to dump almost 2 million tons of sand and silt on the dry land. This spread out in a characteristic fan shape, forming what is now the Okavango Delta, a 6,000 square mile maze of lagoons, channels, and islands. It is Africa's largest and most beautiful oasis. The Okavango River feeds this gigantic waterhole. It rises in Angola, but never reaches the sea. Instead, it empties its waters over the sands of the Kalahari, creating a paradise of fresh water, huge trees, and reed beds. The Okavango is residence to some of the most diverse array of animal species in the world. It is a refuge for animals that could not live here if it were still a desert. The hippos have returned. When the area was dry, the hippo left for greener pastures, but now the delta has welcomed them back. They may look cute and cuddly, but hippos are among the most dangerous animals in Africa. They are very aggressive and territorial. In certain areas of the Okavango, hippos disappeared for over 2 decades. Now, with the streams in full flood, the hippos have a home as long as the water remains. Crocodiles also need water for survival. The rains and rising waters have provided them with the perfect environment to hunt and to live. The elephants are longtime residents of the swamps and plains surrounding the delta. They travel thousands of miles to find succulent grasses and fruiting trees, and of course, water. Elephants follow migration routes passed down through generations. But for now, they are here to stay. There is plenty of food and water for their families. Antelopes also live here, although many of them prefer the open plains and drier areas. In the Okavango, they have water to drink and plenty of forage. During the dry season, prey animals were limited in their access to water, which makes it easy for predators, like lions. As ambush predators, they sit and wait for the prey to come to them. Now the prey has it easy because the water is so accessible, and there is plenty of cover to hide behind. It takes a lot more effort for the predators to catch them. But something is happening in the Okavango. The seasons are changing. The rains usually only fall in the north for a short time during the summer, before they drain to the south. Yet they keep falling, and the water levels are still rising. Until a few months ago, This area was still fairly dry, as it was summer, and the water levels and rainfall in the north did not reach here. It was only the seasonal rains in the area that fed the delta. The Okavango River covers at least 6,000 square miles. But in wetter years, with a heavy annual flood, the Okavango's waters can spread over 8,500 square miles of the Kalahari's sands. Now, all that has changed, and the animals that live here must adapt to their new watery lifestyle. During the dry summer months, the only access they have to water are the waterholes, which are few and far between. But now they are all submerged, with great stretches of river in between. For the herbivores, this is ideal. It means more food. Big cats, not known for their fondness for water, are learning to hunt in different ways. They use the waterways to find their prey, and the islands as places for ambush. Prey aren't forced to collect near the waterholes anymore, which created ideal stalking grounds for predators. Now the residents of the Okavango can find water anywhere and everywhere. The elephants are thoroughly enjoying the new landscape. They are big enough to cope with the rising water levels. Water is in abundance. The animals don't have to travel or migrate to find it. Life in the Okavango Delta, with its new watery wonders, is a source of food, shade, and beauty, and a lot of fun. Baboons form large troops here, and together with their youngsters, they gambol and play in the abundant savanna grasses and riverine forests. There is more than enough food here for them to eat, and plenty of time for fun and games. Other animals, like the zebra and the impala, are also enjoying the newfound luxury of more grass than they can eat. But the waters here are not without danger. In fact, the hunters that live below the surface are lethal and very good at what they do. Nile crocodiles, growing up to 20 feet long, have also returned to the delta's lush waterways. They are a hidden threat that all the wildlife in the delta must be wary of. It is a new day. The grazers drink their fill at the water and are in luck. No crocodiles were on the hunt today, at least in this part of the river. The antelope have moved away from the river now and are making sure that they take every advantage of the lush grazing that is everywhere around them. The Okavango Delta has always been a source of incredible diversity. Many of the antelope that live in the delta are rarely found anywhere else, including the red 𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗏, which lives here in large herds. The lioness is living away from her pride at the moment. She has 3 young cubs that are almost ready to join the family. This makes life difficult for the mother. She must hunt for her family, and she must do it alone, without the pride to assist her. As an ambush hunter, they use each other to head off prey that might escape. Their prey is better able to deal with water than they are, particularly animals like the 𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗏. Their large feet allow them to move through shallow water at speed, which makes it very difficult for the hunters that try to take them down. They also live in large herds and are very protective toward their youngsters. This animal is one of the best adapted to the marshy swamp habitat of all grazing antelope families. Because it is able to cope with the muddy, waterlogged landscape, the hunters that prowl the delta rarely catch it. The swamp boundaries, lined with forests of huge trees, give shade to the herds of larger game. Beyond the forest edge, the landscape forms open savanna parkland with plenty of grazing. It is in these forest fringes and savanna grasslands that kudu and wildebeest feed with other antelopes of almost every kind. Kudu are browsers, feeding off the branches and leaves of the trees and shrubs that grow here. They are very large antelopes and can weigh over 700 pounds. The males have huge horns, up to 56 inches long, that are lethal when used against the predators that hunt them. They tend to separate from the herd when there is plenty of forage. Wildebeest are known as the clowns of the savanna because of their habit of suddenly bounding into the air for no reason. Bulls can grow as tall as 7 feet and have formidable horns they use for defense, as well as on each other during the breeding season. They form huge herds on the drier parts of the savanna, and as a group are very protective of their youngsters, mobbing hunters as a group if they get too close. They are grazers and come to the marshy areas to feed on the lush grasses, but they are not particularly adapted to living in wetland areas. The lioness has her eye on an impala. A small grazer that has the ability to jump over 8 feet high if it needs to. They have a habit of running into dense vegetation to escape hunters, instead of into open territory, which makes hunting them difficult. The impala is very aware of the lioness. This ambush will be difficult. The lush vegetation everywhere helps the lioness to hunt. It makes for great hiding places, if the cubs don't give her position away first. Suddenly, the impala make their getaway, and they won't be anyone's dinner tonight. The lioness must make a kill soon. Her cubs are hungry, and so is she. Hopefully, there will be another unsuspecting antelope soon. As the rainwaters from Angola move through Namibia and then into the delta area of Botswana, the whole landscape starts to change, and the water levels here can reach up to 13 feet deep in places. For most of the animals here, it is a seasonal change that they have learned to cope with over the years. Some of the largest trees grow along the waterways in this area, like the leadwood tree. The leadwood is abundant in the delta and very popular as firewood, as it takes a very long time to burn. The leadwood has very hard wood and can live to be 1,000 years old. Fig trees grow up to 20 feet high and can live for 1,000 years. Also highly regarded for their wood and fruits, the sycamore fig is a great food source for the elephants and other animals that browse. Elephants can go for several days without drinking, if they have to. They can also put away a great deal of food at one time. Their food is difficult to digest, so they eat as much as they can in order to obtain the best nutrients from it. They eat up to 16 hours and up to 6% of their body weight a day. For a bull elephant weighing in the region of 11,000 pounds, that is over 600 pounds of food per day. Luckily, with their long and versatile trunk, these huge animals don't have to stretch too far to reach food that is high in a tree or under one. Another plant that flourishes here is papyrus. Papyrus, found amongst the reeds, are very popular with the animals and even domestic livestock. Elephants, in particular, often eat the shoots and the leaves. Elephants are very important to the health of the delta, as well as other ecosystems. They eat the seeds and stems of plants, and when they deposit their dung in other areas, the seeds take root and grow again. Without elephants to disperse the seeds, as many as 30% of tree species might disappear. Regarded as sacred and used for its fruit, wood, and medicinal properties, the marula tree can produce over 1,000 pounds of fruit per year, per tree. It is very popular with the elephants and provides them with plenty of browse. They are particularly fond of the marula fruit and will even push a tree down to get to it. Hippos are also flourishing in the delta. They need two things in their world to make it perfect: water deep enough to submerge themselves, and plenty of grassland nearby where they can feed. With the plentiful rains, they have everything they need. Hippos are renowned for their aggression and bad temper, and probably kill more people in Africa than even the Nile crocodile. The bulls weigh over 700 pounds and are aggressive and very territorial. When they fight, it is an epic battle. The bulls will sometimes fight to the death. When the rivers run dry, however, they are very vulnerable, both to the sun and heat, and to hungry predators. Giraffes, the tallest animal in the world, are here in large numbers. With males reaching well over 18 feet, these elegant giants wander amiably through the forest edges and savanna grasslands, browsing the abundant foliage. Thorny trees are not a problem for the giraffe, as they have horny protrusions on their tongues and lips that protect them from thorns. Giraffes form herds in order to defend themselves from predators more effectively. They are not territorial animals and have no herd leader. The female giraffes rear their young alone and don't mate for life. It is only when drinking that the giraffe becomes vulnerable to predators. Their long necks contain 7 vertebrae, exactly the same number as we have in ours, which limits their movement when bending down. They must assume an awkward position by spreading their legs widely apart so that they can reach down to drink. In this position, predators can attack them. Danger is all around them. A croc that lurks beneath the surface of the pools and streams, or a hungry lion hidden in a nearby thicket. Giraffes know the dangers all too well. They don't waste much time at the river's edge, and drinking is a quick business. When they're done, they move off to the nearest trees and begin their feasting once more. Zebra and impala flourish in this beautiful place. There is plenty of grazing for them, and if they keep to the savanna plains on the edge of the swamps, the rising water levels are something they can manage. It is when they are crossing the rivers and streams that the water becomes dangerous. Baboons and impala are often seen grazing or feeding together. They eat different foods, so there is no competition between them. The baboons are able to see far in the distance and often have lookouts posted in nearby trees to warn against predators. The two species keep watch together. It is a symbiotic relationship and means that there are extra ears and eyes to keep watch for any danger. This is the Nile crocodile's hunting grounds. none of the animals that must cross these waterways is safe from this apex aquatic predator. Their coloring and ability to hide just beneath the surface of the water makes them invisible to the casual passerby. The kudu, an imposing animal with the longest horns of all the antelope and second only to the eland in size, is not immune to the crocodile. They survey the water nervously, trying to see what might lie in wait beneath the surface. Eventually, they leap across the streams, bounding across it in an attempt to escape any possible attack. Perhaps they have had experience of crocodile attacks before. Some are braver than others are, and walk nonchalantly across the water. This kudu is fortunate. Either the crocs are not hungry today, or they haven't found this particular crossing yet. There are more than 500 species of birds living here, making the Delta the most species-rich area in Botswana. The saddlebill stork is well suited to live in wetlands, with their long beaks and equally long legs. They eat any variety of aquatic animal, including fish, reptiles, and frogs. But some also catch small rodents and moles. They use their long beaks and legs to wade through the reed beds and tall grasses. Many wading birds use the shallower streams and pools in the Delta. They are spoiled for choice with the huge variety of fish and insects that live in the water. The open-billed stork is one such resident and has a remarkable talent for catching its favorite snack, snails. Its beak has a gap in the middle of the bill. As the water levels rise, they create islands made of sediment. These are not very stable, and sometimes animals that have moved there to forage are trapped on them. They must wait until the levels drop before they can leave, especially if crocs are lurking in the waters around them. The animals trapped here leave barren patches that do not produce more food and can result in their starving until they can leave the island prison. More rain clouds are forming from the storms moving down from the north. The water levels are still rising and will continue to do so as the looming storms bring more rain. The animals of the Okavango must learn to cope with these changes. They have no choice. The rains and the seasons come and go as they please. It is late afternoon, and the matriarch has led her herd closer to the water's edge to graze. The elephant herds are in fine form. They are strong and healthy, and the crocodiles are not really worth worrying about, except when the small babies are playing near the water. Elephants are very protective over their youngsters that stay with their mothers for almost 2 years. The matriarch uses her experience to teach her herd of mothers and babies about potential dangers. She knows where to find the best foods to eat and the safest migratory routes to water when it's scarce. The mothers then teach their young, and in this way, the herd's knowledge is shared. The elephants form extremely close bonds with each other, especially as they are all related to one another. There can be up to 24 elephants in a herd, and everything they do is directed by the matriarch. The next oldest female will take over from her when she dies, so all the knowledge they acquire from each other is vital. The baby elephants have a safe haven with the herd and spend their days playing and learning elephant behavior, the fun way. All their games are a stepping stone to becoming responsible elephant adults that will be an asset to the herd. The matriarch and the other mothers are especially vigilant around the river's edge. Despite their size, the babies are vulnerable to a crocodile attack if it is a large one. The babies are also at risk of falling into deep water. The older bulls tend to stay by themselves, foraging and moving along the distant migration routes until they want to mate. Then they will find a herd of female elephants and stay with them until they are ready to move on. Amongst the herd of females, young bull elephants still live with their families, but only until they reach puberty, when they are forced to leave the herd. Their teenage tantrums get too much for the other herd members. Hormones play an important part in the temperament and behavior of the young bulls, just as it does in young teenage boys. As they reach their teens, the young bulls become boisterous and sexually precocious, fighting with the other youngsters in the group and causing havoc with the calm atmosphere that usually prevails amongst the herd members. The young teenagers separate from their families and follow the mother herd from a distance, often traveling with other young males and forming a bachelor herd. The older bulls, which have already been through this emotional and hormonal turmoil in their youth, stand quietly in the background, feeding off the fruits of the trees, waiting. The young bulls eventually make contact with them, And then they can start the long process of growing up and learning how to behave as a proper bull elephant should. With the continuing rains, the areas that usually dry out during the dry season have become waterlogged, and the water has nowhere to go. So the water stays, and the levels keep rising. Could this be a problem, even for the elephants? They are big animals, and easily able to cope with rivers if they have to. But with babies in their herd, the water may become a problem. With the vegetation flourishing at the moment, there is plenty for all the animals that live here. They will adapt to the rising water and learn to deal with it if it becomes a problem. The elephants are able to move around this waterlogged landscape with ease, and there are many herds sharing this exquisite place. Elephants are very capable swimmers. They use all four of their legs at the same time, and their trunks as a snorkel. Their big bodies act as flotation devices, and they are able to swim great distances. Scientists have discovered that the trunk is a part of the elephant even as an embryo. And they believe that this means the elephant was possibly an aquatic animal millions of years ago. The trunk contains 40,000 muscles, which is more than a human has in their entire body. The water here is only a few feet deep at the moment. And for the juvenile and older elephants, crossing to the other side of the wide river is simple enough. They are tall enough to wade through the water that only reaches halfway up their bodies. When the grass is greener on the other side of the river, not much is going to stop an elephant if it decides it would rather be there. The Okavango Delta is a unique ecosystem where nature holds a delicate balance. Although the change in rainfall and drainage has affected the landscape quite radically, the adaptations for survival in a changing world shown by the creatures that live here are proof of how nature can work to suit its needs. And in the rainy season, the delta's endless lagoons are covered with the ever-present beautiful water lilies and bordered by lush palm islands and riverine forests. The unique reeds and papyrus plants that live in this water wonderland thrive on this change, and in their turn, provide the creatures of the delta with an unending supply of food. The trees, too, are flourishing and provide shade and forage. Okavango has the highest number of reptiles and bird species, second highest number of plant and mammal species, and the third highest number of fish species. The game reserves within the Okavango Delta have some of the highest number of animal species in southern Africa, and is comparable to the rich savannas in the East African Rift Valley. Although giraffes are not especially close-knit herd animals and prefer to be solitary, they gather in large numbers when there is plenty of food. Their long necks allow them access to the delicate new shoots that grow at the top levels of the trees. For the animals that call the Okavango Delta home, there is plenty of space and food. Even though survival here is tough for them, with the changes that nature has created, life is also plentiful and good. They live in one of the most unique ecosystems on the planet, and one of the most beautiful. It has been dry before, and will be dry again. This transformation is part of the cycle that the Delta has gone through every century or so. The Okavango Delta is a magical world of water and luxuriant vegetation, interspersed with an incredible array of wildlife, sometimes found nowhere else. The wonder and beauty of this place is heightened by the knowledge that the billions of gallons of water that flow down from the north will never reach the sea. They will flow into the sandy wastes of the Kalahari Desert and evaporate, having fed and nurtured a wonderland called the Okavango Delta on their way. This annual flooding is normal for the delta and is the reason for its unique landscape. Perhaps this scenario will change as the waters rise higher. But it is probable that just like the seasons, another change will occur here, and the waters might recede again. If that happens, the creatures that live here will adapt once more, and they will survive. Yet whatever happens in the Okavango Delta, the beauty that is here will continue to show us how inventive and creative nature is, and how beautiful our world can be, together with the animals with which we share our planet.